Oh, cool. Yeah.
Pretty awesome.
Hey, I wanted to ask you, when you first kind of heard about digital marketing and stuff like that,
Hmm.
what were your thoughts? I'm sure you probably had, I certainly had a bunch of concerns about it, and I just wanted to know if you,
Yeah. I think like, I mean, the natural one is I thought it was a scam, right?
yeah,
Like, just like there's a lot of scams on the internet, right? And so when I first heard about it, I was like, surely this can't be true. I mean, if this is really a thing, like I would have heard about it by now.
right.
And the reality is there was still something about it though that made me want to investigate further. And I did a lot of research. I mean, I really, really did a lot of research. So, and you probably know this about me, Aaron. Like, I don't know if I've told you before, but like I'm pretty much the biggest skeptic ever, right? So after all that research I had done and me being just incredibly skeptical, like I had determined that, this is a very real thing. And let me explain, like, we have this trend of like stores closing down, like physical locations, like I live in Chattanooga, Tennessee, right? Just a couple months ago, we lost a Toys R Us and H Gregg, right? These have been there for years.
And not small
And
stores.
yeah, so I mean, these are big stores, and like you see this happening like everywhere, and more and more and more and more sales are being done online.
Right.
And the new way to do it, right, is companies used to hire marketing departments, and they'd have to pay salaries and healthcare and all this stuff to a team of marketing people, and they would get results a lot of times.
Yeah, yeah.
So what's happened is these companies have decided that, you know what, it's cheaper for us to have, 1099 subcontractors. We'll put our product out there and let affiliates go and market it for us. And that's basically what it boils down to. We're 1099 subcontractors, and we work for other companies promoting their products. And once I got my head wrapped around that whole idea, I realized that like this is a very real thing and it's awesome. And I needed to like learn as much as I could. But that whole process getting there was, I mean, it took me quite, a while. Like when I got started in it, I had I started my education I got from AWOL, right? They have a coaching process. And I remember in fact, I actually, I had like two full pages of questions, right? And you're supposed to like have one coaching call. I ended up having four calls that finally got me to the point of where I felt like, okay, I'm ready to move forward with this thing, right? So
Right.
it was quite the transition for me, but I'm ultimately very glad I did it.
Yeah, you know, I heard about it about 5 years ago, and
Mm-hmm.
I kind of dabbled around with it, made a website, spent a few.
Yep.
There was no training. There was nothing that would show
Right.
what I
Right.
needed to do to get it to really work.
Well, you bring up an interesting point there, Aaron, and I'll say this, like the tools we use. So, I mean, there's several different versions of these tools. I use ClickFunnels, GetResponse, ClickMagick, and my hosting is through Bluehost. Like these companies have made this process and these tools so user-friendly that like the average person like me and you, right, can go into this and actually make it work and know what you're doing, right? Like build an effective sales funnel. So even 5 years ago, when what you're talking about, a lot of that stuff didn't exist even
No,
5 years ago.
at least I couldn't find
It
it.
was exponentially harder to get into it then, which is why not as many people did it. And, like nowadays, it has never been easier. And here's the other thing that I realized, like this trend of online sales is continuing to rise. Like this industry needs more people with this skill set to prop up this continuing trend.
Hmm. Yeah.
So
Yeah,
I think that I thought that was very interesting when I figured that out.
yeah.